guys, how's it going? So today I'm working on a couple sets of containers, kind of decking them out a little bit for the holidays. You can see one set on either side of me. We're on the back sun porch, and the other set is out by a bench. I'm going to be doing these completely different from one another, and they're both going to be fairly simple. So these I'm going to take a little bit more traditional with branches and greens, and then the other ones I want to take a completely different approach and make them very minimalistic and simple. So I'm not sure how those are going to turn out, but it'll be a fun experiment either way. Anyway, let me show you what I've got kind of rounded up here. Alder branch down there that I'll be cutting up into littler pieces to put in the pots. I've got another alder branch here in the cart, as well as some pine cones and my pruners. And then I've got some soft serve fall cypress right here, and I believe this is polar gold arbovita right here. And then berry heavy gold winterberry holly. So I'm taking this set of containers very neutral in color. There's no bright pops of anything, but I think there's a lot of interest in color and texture, which I really like, and they're all real. So there's no artificial anything. And then the other containers, let me turn the camera back around and show you. That's it so far. I think I'll be having to gather some things out of the garden, but I've got this beautiful, let me take some out. This is royal pool moss. Isn't that beautiful? It's super thick and super interesting to look at. I don't know if you guys have seen pictures of containers just topped with moss and pine cones and branches, but they're really pretty, and I think they're really peaceful and just kind of soothing to look at. I don't know. So we're going to give it a shot today, but I'm going to start with these urns right here. I'm just going to set the camera up and get these done, and then I'll show you what they look like. I am super happy with how these turned out, and I love the alder branches in these arrangements. You know, dogwood branches are beautiful, but these have a more free structure to them. They're not as straight, and they also incorporate down into the arrangement, which I really like. See how they kind of like twist downward and they spill over the sides, giving it a more wild look. I used a lot more of the winterberries than I thought I was going to in the beginning, but once I started placing them, I just kind of went to town with them because they bring such a nice bright pop against the black background. And then I did place a few pine cones from underneath our spruce tree in the mix, just to bring a little bit of depth and weight. These were also interesting because I didn't have a lot of either one of those types of evergreen, so I was having to try to make sure I was getting everything balanced looking. But I love that these are a complete departure from the containers on the other side of our house, where I used a lot of red winterberries. I used, you know, pine and red twig dogwood and like the normal stuff that you see in a lot of containers. So these look different, and I'm really happy with it. So now I want to go do the other two urns. Let me show you. So here we are. These are the leaf motif urns and pedestals. I think that's what they're called, from Henry's studio, that we put in our garden 2 years ago. And I had Hakanakloa all gold planted in the center, which you can still see there. I'm going to cut that off at ground level today. I'll leave it in the pots though. And I also had coleus and some fuchsias in there. They were really pretty. The bench, you can see, gets hit with our sprinkler water. This is what our sprinkler water does to everything. Hard water deposits all over. So I'm going to give it a once over with some spray paint, and this is something that I do on the regular around our house because of how hard our water is. Like this bench usually gets spray painted at least twice a year. Now if I were to put it somewhere more proper, like not in the grass where it's getting hit with sprinkler water, I wouldn't be dealing with this issue. But I like it here, so I'm going to be spray painting it. Of course. And I'm gonna have to warn everybody that I just painted that because it'll probably take all winter to dry properly because it's so chilly out here. So now all I have to do is the containers. This is not going to take very long at all. I'm going to cut the grasses off just right at soil level. I'm going to dunk the moss in some warm water that I brought out here because it makes it a little bit more easy to form. And then I'm just going to top dress these containers with the moss and possibly a few pine cones. Really simple. I absolutely love how these turned out. They're so simple and clean looking and different from any other winter container that I have done so far. Last year I had spheres made out of embroidery hoops with greens and berries, which is just more, you know, along the lines of a typical winter container. And these are just so different that I'm just loving it. I did run out of moss when I was working on this second container, so I just filled in this space with pine cones, which does not look bad, but I'll probably pick up another bag of moss when I'm down at the garden center next. And here is the second one. I love how different each piece looks. Like each one has its own unique flair to it. Like this is much brighter and we've got a lot more brown mixed in here. And I like that each piece is shaped. So it's not like just one sheet of moss. It's very textural and very pretty. So one other benefit to getting the moss wet before putting it in the container, other than the fact that it molds better, it's easier to place, is the fact that now that it's nice and wet, it will freeze solid tonight and it will freeze into this container. So wind won't blow these pieces out anywhere. It will all stay put throughout the winter. And the other benefit of this moss is that it's reusable, which is awesome. So it does tend to lose a little bit of its color when it's in the sun for a really long time, but it's more of the intense summer sun that does it fastest. So in the wintertime, since we're not getting as much sun, the days are shorter and it's not as intense. In fact, the sun is way over here in the sky during the day. So this area is fairly shaded throughout the day. I anticipate the color still being pretty good in the spring, so I can take this stuff out, I can put it in a bag and reuse it. So I really like that. And I'm just happy with this area overall. I mean, the fact that the bench looks kind of brand new, nice layer of spray paint, it looks really fresh, and the fact that there's at least something in these urns for the winter is really nice. I didn't want to look at those dead tops of grasses for very much longer. And that is it for today's video. I just wanted to show you guys these two containers because I knew I wanted to make them a little bit different than other ones that I have done, especially these right here. I do think I'm going to be doing more of this, especially inside, because this is like the most low maintenance arrangement that you can do because there's no watering required even when it's inside, because this moss is not living. It's real, and it's been preserved, but it's not something you have to keep wet. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.